Discussing auto layout. So throughout this week, we'll be using auto layout constraint and component, but we'll be discussing auto layout tonight, only auto layout. So we have been designing, when we want to design our button, we'll first design a rectangle. After doing that, do the test inside. So, but now we'll be using auto layout, so very fast. So press T on the keyboard to use test. So to get auto layout, let me write the test first. B-U-T-T. So button. So this is the test, the button, normal, the way we used to do before. But now we'll be using a shortcut. It is either we come here. So majority of the time, I only use the shortcut. So from here, sorry. So it's either we come here to add auto layout to that particular thing. We can add auto layout to test. We can add auto layout to frame shapes. Everything that we are designing in Figma, auto layout can be added to everything. But now it's either we come here, add auto layout like this, or we press Shift and A. So majority of the time, everybody use the shortcut. Just press Shift and A. Now we see a kind of a box, larger box. Then we add fit to it so that we can have that. Let me do a corner radius of 10. Okay, this is fine. So with the help of auto layout, majority of the alignments that I used to see before, make sure it is aligned to the center, make sure you do the vertical alignment and horizontal alignment. So with auto layout, all of that is not needed to be done. So as you can see, this button, it is at the center. So it is aligned from all other sides, you can see. So everything is aligned. The button is at the center. This is good to go. But one great thing about auto layout is that I'm having this thing as button inside. If I delete it, everything will shrink together. And I can write any other thing inside it. I can write get started. So I can have this inside that. So with this, I don't need, okay, I will have to, because I want to do another thing, I will have to draw another rectangle, print another test to do that one. So with auto layout, all that is not needed. All I just need to do is maybe probably copy, duplicate it, whatever thing I want to change it to, I can sign in. So I can do a sign in button and we have this like this. Even if this is not the size we want, if we want it to be at this particular size, it is still what. So let me explain this. So from this side, this is where we can do necessary adjustment of everything we need inside our layout. So let me use this sign in button as an example to explain all the properties that we have here. So I'll duplicate it a few more times. So I've duplicated this 5 times. So I'll add another auto layout to it. So hold on Shift and A to add auto layout, joining everything together. So as you can see here, well, let me write auto layout to this place. I think I have something named as auto layout. Let me write sample. Okay. So everything is inside. All this is inside this auto layout. Okay, now with this, we're having the height. So now you're in the width and height property. There are things that it is not there before, but we now have it. So far we are using auto layout. So we have fixed width or org content. Now let me explain. Auto layout makes things responsive, but now you see that this is not responsive. So you doing the adjustment, taking it inside, nothing is happening. So with this particular org content, we have fixed width. So selecting everything we have inside that parent auto layout. So everything now will be seeing something like this because we have auto layout inside auto layout. So now I'm selecting all these sign-in button inside that parent auto layout, the sample auto layout. Then I will have fill container. So everything inside this place, I want it to fill that container no matter the length, no matter the height. If I'm adjusting, they should be adjusting. If I'm increasing the length, they should be increasing with that particular parent auto layout. So this should be fill container. Now let's see what that will do. You see, immediately I'm adjusting. This is not yet responsive as we want, but we are getting there somehow. The more I increase, the more the button grows, the more I take it back. You see. Okay. With that, we have that. And also we have direction and gaps. So after doing something like this, maybe probably I don't want this thing to be horizontal. If you want it to stay vertical, we can have it vertical. If you want it to go horizontally, it can go horizontal. So, and there's no problem with that. And we can do adjustments with this. So very easy. We can do the adjustment of everything all at once from here. We change the adjustment probably make sure we're having 20 pixels to the top, 30 pixels to the bottom, 25 pixels to this side. So we don't need that in our layout. With just one adjustment, If we want everything to be having 20, it is either we do it from here, so that everything can have 20, is either we do it from here, I think that's 23, or we come here to come and do it, to come to this side, this panel to do it, make everything to be having 20. And changing it to horizontal like this, maybe we need that thing to go that way. So we can do that very, very easy and smooth. So, and also, if you want this thing to wrap, as we are saying like this thing is not wrapping. Let me change it to this third one. So this is to wrap the direction. As you can see, okay, everything is wrapping. If you want it to be at the top. So all these things will be adjusting whenever we need it in a particular. And the reason why this is good, whatever we are designing will be in different size of phone, different size of laptop, different screen size. So with this, if everything is in auto layout, no matter the size of the screen, that thing will adapt to that size. If you design something for a larger screen and everything is not layout, immediately it's coming to a screen that is smaller than that. Everything will be adjusting like this, like this. And you can, as we see this adjustment, this will not be good on a small phone. And if we're having something like this. Okay, now let's do the arrangement of things inside. So let's pick everything inside this thing. This sign here, sign here, sign here. I've selected every one of them. Okay, now let everything to fill container. Set everything to fill container. Now pick the test inside. So I've select every test inside all of this, and I'll set that also to fill container. That is also fill container. Now selecting the parent, the auto layout sample, I'll set that to org content. Okay, with this, if I wrap it now, this adjustment, so as you can see, this thing is shrinking. It's shrinking, shrinking to that side. Now let me change it to wrap and see what will happen. So changing this thing to wrap, this is not what I expect this to do. It's supposed to wrap the way we have it the other time. They were having some things moving down to the lower part. But now it is not giving that kind of response. And the reason is because Figma will not wrap until it reaches a certain level. You see now, when you see, but we have not given it a particular space for it to wrap. That thing is working, but it's not working as we expect it to work. That you are seeing the wrapping function seems like it's no more working. So, but the reason why we have that is because every frame we have inside this space will not shrink until, because everything is now responsive. The test inside is responsive. The frame of that test is responsive. And for something to wrap, it must reach a particular limit for it to go, okay, I've reached a maximum limit. I can't go any smaller than this, then it will wrap to the other side. Now, I will set a minimum width. So setting a minimum width for me that whenever this thing reaches to this limit, it should not shrink again. So then so we see that this is 59 in width. So I can set the minimum width of 55. That after 55, that thing should not be responsive more than that kind of level. That we can see a red line indicating where we have the 55. Now using the wrap content back, the wrap something, immediately we see this kind of, and we see that the sign-in test is moving to a particular side, not to the center. This also is not good. So we'll be changing as we are doing, we'll be changing, put it at the center here and test it back, test it again. Okay, it's not yet working. Then you go to the test. You select the test inside and use the test alignment to put it at the center. Okay, and we go back to that particular outside. We see that the sign-in test is at the center. Hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm using a wrap content in it to make everything responsive. Now, whenever you have reached that limit of 55 that we have set, the test that is at one side will move to the next layer, wrap to another horizontal layer, and you will see we have this to be 2, then we have this to be 3. We keep on going and we have everything in a straight line. So this auto. So this is just to explain everything we have under the properties panel of the auto layer. So I've explained this piece, I've explained this alignment to make everything to be at the center. I've explained what we have in the width org content. If it is inside, we have field container. If I'm selecting what is inside that sample, I'll be having field container over here, field container org content, fixed width, and the likes. Okay. Now let's design. So hope you are still hearing me very clearly.
Yes, I'm still here. Ó kàn ń jọ màjíìkì lójú mi ni. Though I have a little idea about auto layout before, but it's becoming more complicating though. But I just hope that by the time I will look at the video one more time, I will get it better.
Okay. So now let's do something more that will explain it better rather than what I'm just doing to make these things shrink, go, come, and the likes. So now let's design a card. So to design the card, we need a text. So let me pick this text from here. I'll be using this text. So not to waste a lot of time. So let me copy this. See, okay. So I have the text. And let's use this button as well. So don't let us design any other button. Okay. So after having this button, let's do some kind of modification to make the button pop up a little bit. So add a stroke to it. Let me use 2. Inside, let's use C7 for the color. Okay, let's add a effect. Let's put effect. Okay, drop shadow. Let's have a -5 and let the blurry be 10. Okay, that's fine. Let's make it gray. Let's use gray. Okay, I think that's fine. Okay, with this and this, now auto layout, we select the two. We add auto layout to it, shift and A to add auto layout. So immediately we have to add auto layout to a particular thing. Auto layout is also a frame, but a responsive frame that we are using F on the keyboard to pick a frame. So auto layout is also a frame, but it's a responsive one. Then we add fill to it. So then I want to explain something here. We have padding and we have the padding, everything, the top padding, the right and left, every other padding. So from here we can add, let's add 20 padding to the left and right and 20 also to the top and bottom. Is that fine? Let's make it 50. Let's make it 50, 50, 50, so we have enough space. Okay, this is our card. Then we have corner radius. Let the corner radius be 30. Let's see if that will be good. I think that is good. Let's rename the frame to card. Okay, we're having this as card. Okay, now we want this card to be responsive that if we are reducing it in size, we still be having something cool. Okay, now let's see whether it's still responsive. You see that this is a little bit responsive. Oh, let me check what we have at the bottom. You see, the text there is responsive, but you can see that this button is not responsive. It's not moving along. This text also supposed to move inside as we made that kind of adjustment, but we are not having that. Okay. Okay, now with this text, we have this inside auto layout. We have this also inside auto layout. And we need something to be here, the arrow icon to be at this point. So the arrow icon is here. So now I want to put it inside this auto layout. So whenever we have something in auto layout and you want to put another thing inside that auto layout, so it will take a kind of particular space. You see that this auto layout is taking up new space, which this is not what we want. So we want this arrow icon to be at this front, at the front of this thing. So you will select that particular object, anything, even if it is text, if it is button, we can use this. And we'll be having absolute positioning, something, this icon. So to be able to ignore that auto layout, as you can see, ignore the auto layout, that thing will start at the top, you see. Okay, then we place it absolute positioning where we want it to be. And we want this to be here. Okay, now with this, let's see if this thing will be responsive with that particular text. You see, this inside from the layers panel, we can see here that this thing is inside the auto layout, but it's not moving along with the auto layout. Okay, now for us to have it's not moving along with the auto layout. Now, okay, we have this here. So I'll be using something. If you notice, we're having one kind of line. So this is constraint, but there's no way I will do this kind of example. I will not explain constraint, but we are not talking too much on constraint today, just to tell us. Whenever you place something inside the frame, you have a line upward and we have a line like this. Is that we have it, this is aligned to the top and to the left. and that's not supposed to be. That's why it is not responsive with that particular thing. So selecting the frame, come down here, you see constraint. This is constraint, but I'm not talking much about constraint today, sha. And we change this thing, you will notice that this blue line, I don't know if you can see, but we see a line, this line. We'll change the direction to the right. See, I've changed it here. So seeing it that way, it does that. The card will be responsive. That arrow button will follow. You see that there. But you notice something that the arrow is almost getting closer to the test before shifting in some point, and that is not okay. So for us to do adjustment with that, we check this, and this is field content. Now let me do something. If this is in org content, you see, if this is in org content, it doesn't respect that kind of auto layout we have inside. So you will be checking here the width, the height, check the one that is best, that best fits that kind of thing you are. So for this test to be able to wrap within that card, then you need it to be fill container. So it mustn't exceed whatever the length of that thing, it will be wrapping instead of going out. Now, this is fill container, but you can see that this, the frame of that test is more is inside that arrow icon that we have it. Then we turn this test also into an auto layout. We have another auto layout, inside the auto layout, inside the auto layout. Let me change this to test. Okay, this test auto layout. And we'll be giving this a pattern at the right, only the right, not in every other space, just the right pattern. Let's give it 20 and see what we'll be having. Okay, having it as 20 will make it, okay, this will be fine. So that arrow will not be getting much closer to that thing before it starts shifting. Okay, this is cool now. And we have this arrow, this button as well, that we have the other time that is not responding when the card size reach that kind of level. We will change this also. So selecting the test we have inside. So turn the test to fill container, number one. Then you turn the frame of that button also to fill container. Immediately you turn to fill container, you see it fill that container, and this is not what we want. We want the button to still remain at that particular size while it's also responsive. So for us to do that, we use minimum width the other time. We are going to be using the maximum width this time around. So using the maximum width, the maximum width for this, then we'll set it to be 85. So the reason why we are using 85, the width of this button initially is 85, and we want it not to be longer than that. So we want it to be 85, then we set it to that maximum width. Okay. You see, then we turn it to fill container after using that maximum and fill it to container. You see, it is not taking that speed because it has already been set to a level that it should not exceed that particular maximum width. Okay. Now, if I decide to take this thing inside, let me take it out a little bit. So let's notice that button. You see the test is moving, but this also, you see that everything is now responsive. We know that there is no mobile phone or device that is going to be as small and be as small as this. So let's take it back. But with this, we know that no matter the device. So with this, we know that no matter the device, we want this card to be. If it is a laptop, if it is a mobile, this thing will respond and adapt to that particular thing. Okay, now let's do something. Let's kind of put an indicator with this test, that the more this test grow, the more that thing also grow. So hope we are hearing me clearly.
It's just that some break at the point.
Okay, that's the reason why I noticed, because it's showing me something. That's the reason why I asked. Okay. So we want to put an indicator here with this test. So let's do that very quickly. We press R on the keyboard. So let this to be the width, let's set this to be 9. And let's make this to be 40. Okay, let's give it a green color. And have a corner radius of, let's give it 10. Corner radius of 10 should be good. Then we paste it inside our frame. You know, we have that kind of thing we have when we paste the icon, something. So we'll use absolute positioning again, this time around. So using absolute positioning, and we are pasting it to the edge of this frame. So let's place it to the edge of this frame. Okay. Then we make sure that we're having this to be here. Okay. So we have made this kind of positioning. Then we change this top to top to bottom in the constraint. And the text we're having inside this piece. So now to make use of this text, immediately maybe probably I press enter, you see, the rectangle grows, although the height we give it in the first place is just 9 and 47. But because of the constraint and the card is responsive, so if you want to add any other thing, let me try to add this thing back, you see, and you try to increase. That rectangle will be growing with respect to that. You see, everything will be growing. If you delete it, it will be going back. Or probably you try to shrink the card, select the card and try to take it down a little bit. So also that thing will be good. So this is the reason why auto layout is useful. So everything will not be in a fixed something. Like you design for one particular device and every other device you have to design, the type of screen size of phone, screen size for laptop. You can't be designing that much. Although you have to design with respect to when you get this and when the thing is a little bit much, you have to design or give a specific screen size. Maybe probably you design for a desktop, you design for tablet, you design for mobile, that one's normal. But whenever you design for mobile, that kind of mobile is supposed to work for every other mobile, no matter the size and no matter the size of everything. So this is what we called auto layout. So with this card, no matter where you try, even if you try to increase, it will be going. If you try to reduce without using rectangle, using text, using stuff and stuff like that. So hope this is clear. Hope this is clear.
Just still following your boss. Pretty clear, but I still hope that it will there's a little bit of distractions with me here, so I'm really not getting that much. But I believe I watch the video again, I'll be able to get it. But it's still clear a little bit.
Okay, okay, all right, no problem. So I don't want to go much further because if you understand this concept of majorly, so when you are practicing, make sure you check this. Let me use this one. So when we are practicing, let's make sure we understand. Let's play around very well. This fixed width, org content, and field container. This is what causes a lot of confusion and causes. So know when to use org content. So whenever you need something to keep shrinking in size, you need to use org content. So like, let me quickly design a button. So with this, the text we have inside this is field container. We check it from here so that when we are designing, we won't get confused. So what we have in is this text is field container. So if I decided to increase this or shrink this, you see, this is shrinking. Now, let me click this text and try to put it. You see, this is not responsive. And the reason why it's not responsive is because we have set it to field container. Let me use another one too. This is the example. This is a test. So if we check this, you will notice that this is enough content. And what we have inside is also org content. So because both of them is org content, if you press F, it will shrink. So remember that. So don't just because you add auto layout to something, it will respond the way you want it to respond. You will notice what we have in the properties space. So if you now put this as sign in, so this is increasing. But if you do the same thing with this one, that we are having org content at the back and this is field container, it will not do the same thing. This is field. Let me change it back. It will not do the same thing. That is field container. Now, see, it will not do the same thing. So don't get confused when you are doing that. Don't get confused when you're doing that. So play around very well. Understand org content, understand fixed width, understand field container, and when you want to use maximum and minimum width. So let's play around with the card I have above and let us see if we're able to replicate or design this back. So we're able to design this back. So this will be an assignment and we should submit before start day. Or do we have any question?